One of the things that students often overlook when getting ready for exams is to have a strategy for the exam itself. How are you going to attack that exam? In what way are you going to answer the questions? In what order? How are you going to plan your time? How are you going to make sure you've answered all the questions the best you can? You need to develop a strategy that's going to work for you. I'm going to give you some tips of some things to do. First, you're going to have some reading time on your exam. You're going to look over the exam and all the different questions. You can't have a pen, it's just reading time. Use that time to review and point out things that might be flags for you that are difficulties or something you're a little less less comfortable with, and also look for things that are easier and you think, oh, I know that one cold. Make a mental note of that. That's what the reading time is for. Get yourself ready and kind of highlight some things that stand out. Then two, when you get your pen and you can start writing, one of the best things you could do at the beginning is to go and maybe put a star next to ones that you want to start with or that you might need more time with. Have some symbols in place. Use that time, it's the beginning time to kind of start your game plan. And then, when you start answering questions, go through an order that makes sense. You don't have to start at number 1 and move to number 2 and go in that order. That's what we usually do, and it is an easy way to do it. But you might want to start with a few easy ones and then keep some of the easy ones for a little bit later for when you get kind of stuck on a harder one. And so maybe do 1 and 2 and then jump to number 7 and then come back to number 3 when you have time. That may not work for you and you may say, oh, I'm not going to do it. It's worth trying some different strategies. As you're practicing for the exam and practicing exam questions, try that strategy and see how it works for you. It doesn't work for everyone, but it can work for you. One of the things another tip that you need to do, if you're going to use that strategy, or even if it's not, is to write on the exam paper itself. You'll be given the exam paper. You can't put your answers in there, certainly not for computer science. There are some exam papers that you do that. But you can write in it. So if nothing else, circle command terms, make points of how many marks each question's worth, and when you answer a question, you're confident in it, cross the number out. If you answer a question and you're not sure and you want to review it, put a little question mark next to the number in the exam paper. If you haven't got to it, if you look at one, you say, I'm going to come to that later, circle the number. Because then when it's time to go back and make sure you've answered questions correctly, you can go through the exam paper and you've got a system that shows you, did you answer the question? Do you want to put more time into it? Or did you never even get to it at all? Another strategy you need to have is to manage your time. In your exam hall, you'll have a clock and you'll be told when the starting and ending time is, and you should plan that time. You know it ahead of time. There's no secrets. So if you've got an hour and a half for your exam, you'll get a 5-minute warning and say time to wrap up. But you should plan that maybe you're going to try to answer every question in the first hour. And then the half hour will be the ones to go to those difficult ones, the ones you had to skip because they were harder. So make that mental plan. You may and write it down in the test booklet, which is going to be graded. Say if the ending time is going to be at 11:30, you might write 11 o'clock and highlight that and try to get as much done before that time as possible. Certainly, you should definitely plan that the last 10 minutes or so are going to be review time, where you can look back at those questions that you weren't quite sure and come back at them and see if maybe you can add more to them, or maybe you made a mistake. Review some of the answers. Budget your time and plan it out. I can't tell you exactly what to do. It works differently for different people, and it might be different for different exam papers. But plan that time and use that time. Don't just get started and run through the end. Plan, make a goal, and definitely leave some time at the end for review and corrections.